already nationally, you're seeing the rhetoric of the mainstream media start to paint Washington as if you think it was dysfunctional before,
It's going to be horrible now.
wait till you see it now.
Yes.
So I think what they're trying to do is paint people as extremists. So how do you, people who want to support the Constitution, and how do you push Larry Hogan? You've seen the rhetoric of even people like Mitch McConnell has changed and it's become more Tea Party oriented. How do you do that and push Larry Hogan without coming off as an extremist?
Speak it about the issue. Don't make it about yourself. One of the things that sometimes we could say, that happened when I was much younger as well, you become so close to an issue that you forget the issue and you push yourself. Don't make it personal, even though it is personal to you. Make it about whatever issue it is. Like with Larry Hogan, one of the things I really want to see him deal with is the regulatory environment in this state. We have businesses leaving, not just because of the tax is one issue, that's important, but the hoops you have to jump through just to make paperwork and provisions and the regulatory environment. So what I'm saying to you is that what you do, Pete, right? What you do is you push the issue of the regulatory environment, but at the same time, you stay on them, and don't make it about yourself. And that way, you really can't be called an extremist if it's about the issue, right? If you make it about what you really care about. Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, I have one, C4. It has to do with gun control.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than frame it in the terms of gun control, I would prefer to frame it in terms of personal freedom for law-abiding citizens. And Larry Hogan, he avoided that issue, and I understand why, because he didn't want to be marginalized.
Which he would have been.
Which he would have been. So, any advice or comment on the gun control?
Yes. Here's what I would say to you, and I do believe this, but belief, followed with action. You say prayer, but prayer with works. Prayer is dead. Prayer with works. Okay. Larry Hogan is going to appoint, as all governors do, the state superintendent of police. The state superintendent of police is the one that actually implements this good and substantial reasoned process of how you get the right to carry. Watch and push to make sure that this superintendent of police, if you haven't done anything wrong, you have no criminal record, you should be able, in your community, to carry a gun if you go through the process. I was able to get a carry permit. Why? Because I was Delegate Clarence Mitchell before. Why should a legislator or somebody connected be able to get a carry permit and you, a citizen who's paying taxes every day, not be able to get one? That is the corruption that is involved in politics. So to answer your question is, he can't turn the law around if they pass Senate Bill 281. He can't turn it around. But what he can do is make it easier for citizens in this state to be able to carry legally carry in the state and be able to protect themselves. And I guarantee you he will do that. If he doesn't do that through his superintendent of police, I guarantee you from 9 to noon, I'll talk about it, you talk about it, but I believe he will. But as far as the law, we're not going to turn around Senate Bill 281. The courts, unfortunately, ruled against us on that as well. But what we can do, even at the jump through fingerprint and all the rest of it, we can make it easier to carry and to legally be able to protect ourselves through that process. Yes, sir. Your name?
My name's Jay. Jay Payne, Towson, Maryland.
Yes.
I've got a question about last night, as far as locally and nationally. The pundits and the media, they keep putting out this message that everyone's tired, they want Washington to work together.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I believe that last night everyone voted the way they did because they want to undo everything that was done nationally, and even undo everything that's been done in the past 8 years in our own state.
Okay.
What do you think the odds of that's going to, any undoing is going to take place?
You can't undo, really, you can't undo a lot of things that have been done. What you can do through the process of either amending it or new laws is adjust it, change it. To take out many of the laws that are already there are next to them. That's why you don't want them in the first place. That's why I've been telling people over and over again, fight the laws at the very beginning of the process, because once they become law, it is like pulling a tick out of, it is almost next to impossible to undo the law. So what I'm saying is, what Mitch McConnell, I believe, and John Boehner can really do, particularly with Obamacare or with anything else, they can begin to take parts of it that there's agreement around. The medical device tax, there's agreement around this. the different taxes that are in there, there's agreement to pull some of those taxes up. Begin to approach it in a piecemeal fashion, and then you can begin to not necessarily undo the whole thing, but make it more amenable, so that the citizens have more freedom, if you want to call it that, or liberty in the process. But really, that's why I want to urge you, when laws are being proposed, it's best to fight them before they become laws, because it is so hard to undo a law. It just is.
We fought Obamacare though, and it became law anyway.
What's that?
We fought Obamacare, and it became law anyway.
That's true, but you're not going to win every. No, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up, because that was part of what I wanted to say in the whole thing with Bob Ehrlich and Larry Hogan. No, when we were kids, we were hopefully taught. I played Little League a lot. You're not going to win every game, and what you have to learn how to do is understand that a loss is only setting you up for a potential victory. So no. They didn't listen to it. They rammed it through Christmas Eve, 3 in the morning, made sure that before Scott Brown could get sworn in, when he beat the woman Coakley, who got lost again yesterday, to replace Ted Kennedy, they rushed it through with many unconstitutional provisions in it before he could get sworn in to become the 41st vote, so they couldn't get 60 to push the Obamacare bill through. Yes, he did all of that. That was a loss. But there are other battles to come. I'm not saying give up. Don't give up on fighting the Affordable Care Act. Like right now, I believe that Larry Hogan is going to make sure that many of the detriments to the Affordable Care Act here in Maryland are dealt with. And you know what he's going to do? I think he's going to make sure that somebody goes to jail for what happened with $288 million. I believe that. He's going to cooperate with the Inspector General that's investigating this now, that Congressman Andy Harris called for, as opposed to fighting it like O'Malley and Anthony Brown were doing. So to answer your question, yes, the public was. People went down to Annapolis against Senate Bill 281, against the gun control bill, and that prevailed. But the win is the Ehrlich election, the win might be the Hogan election, the win might be something else, but you're not going to win every battle. And you got to be prepared for that. Don't let the loss suck all the life out of you when you don't want to face the next battle. Just like kids, we were told it's a game the next day, right? If you play a Little League ball, you lose today, it's a game the next day. Any other questions? Yes.
I'd like to kind of build on Jay. What I'd like to see a leader do, and we talked about social media, but also television, if Larry Hogan feels strongly about something and cannot get it through, go right to the people and have the people go on television, be all over talk radio, get the average citizen fired up. You know, not just us, we're activists.
Sure. I know you're talking about making it known. I'm hoping that through what he did with Change Maryland, he understands how to do that. And I'm thinking that he will actually, when there's a stymie, when something in his way, he will either contact us at BAL as one vehicle, but then go on the internet, go through several vehicles to get the word out that he is being stymied. Now, when that goes out, as you just said, people need to be there to fight it, to stand up. It was only because of the people's fight that the rain tax began to get pulled back. If you saw they were implementing this thing, was going to move forward, Carroll County decided they weren't going to do it. Remember, they were suing Carroll County. They were going to make sure to make Carroll County like $2,500 a day or something crazy. Howard County pulled theirs back. Other counties began to pull theirs back. Why? Because you started to see a rebellion amongst people. So that's what I'm saying is that it's not, you're not going to be able to see the immediacy of something when you're fighting it at that point. But staying with it, you begin to gradually see the change happen.
Right, and that's what I'd like to see with the Hogan campaign. All the time, hammering television, hammering radio, social media, etc. And keep these, you know,
stay on them. Call the office. 974-3901. I still remember the number to the governor's office. 974-3901. Call the governor's office and stay on them. Because you are built for this. The Campaign for Liberty is built for this, and other people will do the same. Yes?
Do you think calling the governor's office is the best path to keep Governor-elect Hogan?
That's one part. That's one way to do it is to call. Yes. The next way to do it is to have your groups organized to physically go to Annapolis and confront them. Then use the different mediums that we have now. Use talk radio. Use the different sites that people have. I'm socially inept when it comes to a lot of these websites. My children have to help me. But use whatever is out there to get it. But it's a multifaceted approach. I tell people, when I grew up in politics, I was raised long before we had all the internet and everything we have now. When you're involved in a fight politically, it's almost like the Joint Chiefs of Staff. You have an Air Force, you have a Marines, you have a Navy, you don't use one thing. You use all these different vehicles to begin to push and fight. Yes.
I think a fairly good model is like Congressman Amash or
Yes.
in Annapolis, Mayor Cantalides. You can, I mean, I feel like I know exactly what they do every day.
Well, let me
Their
tell you,
social
Justin
media
Reed, another
presence.
young man, Delegate Justin Reed, and he is just beginning to get his feet under him. He used to be executive director, excuse me, of the Republican Party, the state of Maryland. He called my show today. He is another young man using social media a lot, getting messages out a lot. So connect, also, I'm glad you brought up, connect with the legislators that you know are already in social media and allow them to be also assisting you as you get the message out. Yes?
What's your view on what's going to happen with the 40 new taxes?
What's going to happen with them?
Yeah, what's your view? Because I think.
Well, let me tell you something. Larry Hogan, I'm going to watch and see through executive order, through what he can repeal or do when it comes to fees and stuff, because a lot of the fees, he can have some say in. A lot of those didn't go through all legislatively. But when it comes to the taxes, I think it's going to be hard to repeal those taxes because they actually were voted on legislatively. Now, here's the leverage. I want to let you know what Larry can do. Maryland's governor is the most powerful governor in the United States of America because Maryland's governor sets the budget. All the legislature can do is take away from the budget. They can't add to it, can't change pots of money, can't move it around. So a governor, what a governor can do in the situation where Larry's in, where he's overwhelmed by Democratic Senate and Democratic House, is send down a budget that just cuts almost everything Democrats love, right? And then when it's all cut, he goes, now, let's sit down, let's negotiate. You want that money back in there? I need that tax out of here. You need that back in there? I need that. That's how negotiations occur. Because the governor can then issue supplemental budgets after that to then add the money back in that he took out with his original budget. Now, Chris Christie doesn't have the same power that our governor has in New Jersey, but he used something similar with a Democratic Senate and a Democratic House in New Jersey. That's how he was able to get a 10% income tax cut in a Democratic state like New Jersey when they didn't want to do it. Democratic Senate, Democratic House, he was able to do it because he used the budget and the power of the executive office to negotiate, to leverage, to do those types of things. So it's not easy, young man. It's not going to be easy to pull those taxes up. It just isn't.
And he won in a landslide, realize.
And he won in a landslide. And he helped our man win, did he not? Yes. I think Chris Christie played a very good role coming down here in Maryland and giving money and a lot of different resources and national attention, because where Chris Christie goes, national cameras follow. He brought a lot of national attention to Larry Hogan's campaign when Larry really needed it. Yes, sir, right in the back, right behind you, I'm up, get to him first. Yes, sir.
I just want to make a couple of comments, Senator. What you said about your family, I know you're being modest. I'm over 70 years old, and what you said doesn't begin to say the impact that your family has had on Maryland, and not only Maryland, but the country. I'm a lifelong resident of Baltimore County, and the individuals that had the greatest influence on me politically and otherwise were, first of all, God, my family, my dad, the Mitchell family, and Ron Smith. And it's so important, this organization campaign for liberty, it's so important and it's imperative that you have an organization like this because of the one-party system. If nothing else that I take away with Governor-elect Hogan said, that what he brings, and I'm sure that he'll bring it, I voted for him. People say, you voted for him? Yes, and I proudly said that. And when people say, why? And I say to them, why didn't you? So they did.
By the way, real quick, I'll let you finish. My mother,
I'll be right
if you tell somebody I said this, my mother, lifelong Democrat, didn't even vote for Earl. She voted for Hogan. I just want you to know that my mother voted for Larry Hogan. Go ahead, sir.
I'm about to really wrap up. Governor Hogan said, and what he's going to bring is accountability, deal with the nepotism, and the corruption. I know a little bit about corruption. Senator, my ex, it's probably because, maybe that's has something to do with me because I'm an ex. Listen, she said to me, she's Speaker Bush's flunky. She's the Speaker Pro Tem. Okay, I call that as I
We got elected together. We went in the house.
I will hold that again.
I appreciate it.
But anyway, I used to say to her, I vote for as many Republicans as Democrats. So she would get very uptight. She said, you sound like a Republican. Why didn't you vote for him? I said, I will, and I did. Yesterday, I did too.
There you go, sir.
Yeah, right.
Let me say this to you also. Republicans in the room as well. And being a member of a party, I don't have a problem with. Being a blind member of a party, And just like I criticize Democrats for being blindly loyal to their party, Republicans can't be blindly loyal either. And there has to be accountability held by every elected official. I'm a registered independent because I want to hold both parties accountable and make sure that what they say on Monday, they do on Wednesday. Okay? Yes, sir.
I've listened to your show plenty of times, and I've heard you speak about independence. And I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, but you believe that independents should be able to vote in either primary.
Should be open. California has a system that I love here, would love to get here, which is when you are running in California, I'll let you finish, when you're running in California, there's no party affiliation next to your name in certain jurisdictions. What you have are the people who are going to run for the state senate, let's say, all the names. The top 2 names, those are the people that run in the next election. And then the one person out of that wins. And the reason I like that is because you don't necessarily have the team Steelers versus Ravens. You really do get the 2 best candidates out of that group, whatever it is. And then you end up voting for the one of the 2. And there's no party affiliation next to their name. So that's the evolution I like to see when it comes to unaffiliated, independent, whatever you want to call it, types of politics.
Well, I used to think the same way, but then I started realizing that the majority of voters really don't pay attention to issues. A lot of independents, they're turned off by politics. So I'd rather have...
Not anymore.
Well,
Not anymore. We are the #1 registration in the country right now. There are more, every day, there are more independents registering than Republicans and Democrats.
Not because they're not turned off?
No, not because they see a political force developing. Independent politics has not been able to galvanize itself into a party yet, or necessarily into what you do here with the Campaign for Liberty, but it is a force. Each election, let me ask you a question. Each election now, the president, who are the presidential candidates really chasing?
Really chasing?
Chasing, what vote? What vote? The independent.
They're chasing 5%.
No, it's much more. Yeah, much more. Independent, okay. Google this when you get home. The independent registration in this country now is more, plurality-wise, than Democrat and Republican. It's #1. Independent, unaffiliated, whatever you want to call it. Plurality, not majority. Plurality-wise, it's more than Democrat. Independents #1, Democrats #2, Republicans #3. Yes, sir.
Leo, do you realize something ought to be done about it, and we're looking for it in the future? Independents in Maryland and third-party registration really get shut out of the judges' races.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an independent in that primary, it could be all over with by the time
Because
the
you're not on the ballot.
Right.
I didn't know that.
No, think about it. If you're an independent, you can't vote in the primary.
Right.
So if five judges are running for 4 slots,
You can't vote for them.
right, and so by the time November comes, they're already knocked off.
They're already knocked off because
Right.
they didn't get enough votes. I didn't think. Well, that goes to the issue of having independents vote almost in an open primary type of process. But this is a long march, and I just want you to understand that this is not a race that goes to the swift. Okay, this is a race that hopefully the Campaign for Liberty will be enduring for a long time. And you got to just take each little victory that you get, and that's why I'm an unaffiliated voter independent. I'm gonna come right to you, John. Unaffiliated independent because I don't see a party yet. I don't see the development of the vehicle that I really want yet to get under. But I do know what I think I'm doing is right. And if I keep doing this and keep talking about it and keep pushing this, it'll eventually get to that point. Yes, John.
Thanks for a great lead in for my question. We know that things didn't get bad overnight, and we know they're not going to get fixed overnight. That's why a lot of people in this room are running for central committees and, for the dog catcher jobs. We don't get a lot of attention, but we're doing it because we're willing to work. And I know everybody in the room what we've done as far as door knocking and lip dropping. My question, I guess I got a couple questions. My question, when you were in office, and I know your relative Kiefer, when he was in office, they carved things on stone and carried them up there in Roman chariots, but you being much younger, what influenced you the most? Mail, email, phone calls, visits, letters?
Physical presence.
When you were, and I ask that to every politician.
Physical presence. Phone calls do matter. I want you to know that when we get phone calls, because so few people, you would think a lot of people call Annapolis, they don't. When we get phone calls, our staff brings us, whether we're in committee or whether we're walking around the floor, they will bring us a list of people that called us, and they do matter. But your physical presence, and I know it's not, people work during the day, they have regular lives, they're raising children, so I know it's not easy. But if a group of people could be selected to kind of be the representatives within what Campaign for Liberty, whatever the group is, to be that body, that physical presence. Being in front of that legislator matters more. Why do you think lobbyists are hired to be in front of legislators? Yeah, they get money too. But why do you think lobbyists are hired? Because the physical presence matters, particularly when you're getting ready to vote on something. Yes.
We had a lot
And your name?
of Teresa Miller. We
Teresa.
had a lot of physical presence for the gun rights. That didn't seem to do anything.
And I'm saying to you, it's not going to win every time. And I'm not suggesting that, you were wrong or you didn't do the right thing, but don't take a loss and let that, if Larry Hogan looked at that gun bill, he never would have ran for governor. So each thing that you're involved with may not end up with the outcome that you want, but it's important to be involved anyway. You wouldn't have, just because you thought you might lose, you still would have done what you did, right? So the loss is sometimes going to happen. It doesn't mean you weren't right. Do it anyway.
I'm shocked.
Do it anyway, and maybe the outcome will be what you desire, but it's not always going to be that way.
But you get the politicians on the record for something.
Absolutely. And you can, and I truly believe that gun bill, I don't think it was an overwhelming issue, but I think a lot of people voted against Brown on that gun bill issue. I really did. Yes, yes ma'am.
We know the
And your name?
Angela.
Angela.
We know the high-profile people came down and campaigned for Brown, Obama, and
All of them.
Clinton, and
The stars.
and he lost anyway. So I have two questions. Why do you think O'Malley didn't? Do you think Brown didn't want him? And also, do you hope that Brown's loss has tanked O'Malley's?
I think it's first of all, second question, but I think O'Malley's national campaign was tanked anyway. I think that what he has done is polarized himself in his politics so much that he can only be successful in very liberal states. He can't go to a Colorado now or an Iowa and actually present a message that might make a conservative, even conservative Democrat, look at him. But getting back to why didn't he work with Anthony Brown, I said from the very beginning that their campaign was a marriage of convenience. It was like he was marrying someone who wanted to get a visa to stay in the United States. That was what the Brown-O'Malley campaign was. They really, I'm not going to say they don't like each other, but they don't work with each other. They really are like strangers meeting in the night. So it wasn't strange for me not to see him campaigning with him. What was horrible, I'm coming right to you, what was horrible though, just from a class, dignity standpoint, for him not to be on stage last night with somebody that for 8 years was his lieutenant governor, says a lot about the man, Martin O'Malley, that he wouldn't be on stage in a lot. He'd have been there had he won.
Oh, yeah.
Had he won, he'd have been there raising his arm and everything. But to not be there in a loss tells you everything you need to know about this governor. Yes, sir.
So what does the Democratic Party in Maryland do now? They're never not going to get this line down.
No, that Mike Miller and the rest of them will try to devise something, which is why I say to you, last night's election was only the beginning of the process. Now, the people that support Larry Hogan have to be ready for whatever the Democrats do. What do? I can't tell you specifically, but you know they're not going to give up. You know they're going to come back and fight. So just as you would fight, anticipate what they're going to do and meet it head on. Yes, sir. Okay, I'll come right around. You and you.
Will Governor-elect Hogan work on the gerrymandering?
Yes.
In the district?
Well, see, here's the thing. He's got to get reelected because the next redistricting map is not going to occur until the second term, when the census comes up in 2020. Okay, so yes, he will. He'll be able. The governor is in charge of it. The governor is the one that actually. I don't like that process, by the way, whether it's Republican or Democrat. I like to see an independent commission set up to do it. But that's the C4 approach to it. But yes, he'll be in charge if he wins again. Yes, sir. Your name?
Charles Snyder.
Sure.
Baltimore City, other than. Some of us here were out there electioneering in the campaigns for smaller office people that were for. What do you see as the importance of that as far as getting people you need elected, of how you have to get out there, get to the polling stations, and electioneer for your candidate?
There is nothing better, and also I have to say this because I was raised. Imagine this when you're a child. 3 out of every 4 summers, I was knocking on doors and working in the campaign, which meant my summers were all screwed up as a child. And that's why I'm half crazy today. When my uncle ran for Congress, I was knocking on doors. When my dad ran for the Senate, I was knocking on doors. And my uncle ran for the city council in Baltimore, I was knocking on doors. And those elections were year, skip, and year. So anyway, I still like to say that you learn a lot going out and campaigning for someone, actually knocking on doors, talking to people, getting to know communities. I know most of Baltimore City because I knocked on most of the doors in Baltimore City. And it really is an important process to go through. So I encourage everybody to get involved in a political campaign just so you can see how the process works. Okay? Yes?
Just you said earlier, you can't win every fight, but the fights that you lose are, even the ones you win are excellent networking opportunities to prepare for the next battle. Because you might not know these people, but you end up showing up in Annapolis and you meet all these people you've never seen before.
Think about you all here. What galvanized and brought all of you together? But probably some issue or a couple of issues that either you didn't win or you didn't like what was going on, and then you began to galvanize yourselves at the Campaign for Liberty. So the point he's making is absolutely correct. That's why I don't want people to get so frustrated that when they're not successful, they give up and say, I'm done. Because we're not always going to win, ladies and gentlemen. But if we continue to battle, you're going to see the fruit of your labor come to pass. And Larry Hogan's election, hopefully, is that ray of light that a lot of people can see. Now, though, you've got to hold them accountable. Yes, young man.
Okay, yeah, several things. First, I would like to say some things that I was really happy about, because I saw that Michael Peruka won a council seat, which was a really good victory. And also Robin Grammer got elected for House of Delegates, so those two things I was really happy with. Also, the other question is, what do you think is going to happen with Common Core in Maryland?
Well, right now with the Governor Hogan, I can guarantee you that when it comes to the implementation of this, his state school super, he'll get to appoint the school board. Now he gets to appoint the school board members. So whoever the school board members are that select state school superintendent, he'll have a lot to say in how this thing is either implemented or it isn't. But I'm hoping that Maryland will become one of those states that says we don't want to be a part of this Common Core stuff. But to answer your question, he will have a lot to say, a lot of power over what happens with Common Core. Yes, sir. Your name is
Alex, so I like
yes.
to call in
Alex.
quite often. Yeah, some dog, but
yes.
I'm always listening all over the place. But so speaking of Common Core, did you interview Mr. Hogan at all regarding Common Core?
I don't think it came up. I really don't think Common Core came up. But here's what I do believe, though, because of listening to his principles. I don't believe that he believes that anything from the federal government down is a good thing to do when it comes to local education or local empowerment. I think he believes that the control at the local level is the most important thing. So if that guiding principle is what he believes in, I can't believe that he would support Common Core, at least all of its entities.
He just seemed very wishy. I literally got 3 mailers in a row, and one said repeal, the other one said
from him.
Well, yes, they were.
Okay.
And then I think it was your college. Was it Derek Hunter?
Yes.
I think he interviewed him, or it might have been his running mate, and I called him out on it. He was very, it's like,
Well, you have a job to do, don't you?
What's that?
You have a job to do, don't you?
Yeah.
Which is to call 974-301. You have a job to do, yes.
All right, Patrick Canisa, Arcade Self.
Yes.
So we have to stay on the ball with Larry Hogan. And Ehrlich dropped the ball when he entered office.
I didn't say,
that's not
but I don't want to take it negatively. I truly believe that sometimes people can win and think that's the end of it.
Right.
Just winning becomes the end.
So that's where we come in.
Right.
But was there something like us back then? Was there a support?
Not really.
Was there a support to move?
Well, you got to remember, a Republican had won since Spiro Agnew. So I mean, this is like 4th of July, Christmas, all of the above. So people literally went through this hangover with Bob Ehrlich for a long time. I don't think that's going to happen with Larry Hogan because we've experienced that once. So no, there was no vehicle. A lot of vehicles.
Hangover's over. We had the Renaissance, and now we're getting up there in the ground.
Now it's time to get the work done. Yes, John.
I just want to ask you, we have 188 members in the General Assembly. We had probably 60 new people coming in. I know there's a lot of new people. What is your crystal ball kind of thing that you see? Do you see anything changing?
Yes, I do, because I think Larry Hogan's going to make a change. When Larry Hogan called the Speaker of the House this morning and the President of the Senate this morning, and they came out and told us that he had called the Speaker of the House and the President of the Senate, he was letting the whole state, putting the whole state on notice. I'm willing to work with them if they're willing to work with me. And the reason I say that is those freshmen that are coming in, they won't look at Larry Hogan like this three-headed, crazy right-wing zealot. They're going to look at him as somebody who wants to work, who's coming down there to work. So I truly believe there will be a different atmosphere in Annapolis as opposed to the whole, us against Jews, Steelers against Ravens attitude that's been down there the longest time.
And Speaker Bush came in second in in a four-way race.
He came in third last time.
He came in third, and then the district made it 38, but I'm saying he came in second, and he wasn't too far away from coming in third.
Well,
Just out of curiosity, if he would have came in third, he would have not made it through. Would the GA been a lot different?
Redistricting is the issue that was brought up. Until redistricting gets changed, they're going to give themselves safety. Mike Miller has one of the safest seats. I mean, Calvin County, a slice of Prince George's, it is all safe for Mike Miller. So until that gets done, now, as I end, and I'm sure I'll run way over time, but as I end, one of the things, and talk about a victory, the young lady that was back there when you lost the gun bill when you were testifying on it, when they redistricted my district and said there was no way I could win, Casper Taylor, Speaker of the House, was on it was a 5-member redistricting committee, and they had drawn the district because Cas was a Democrat so narrowly, he was from Allegheny County, that they got almost every Democratic vote to make sure that he would get reelected. When the courts threw the map out after our lawsuit, they dramatically changed Cas Taylor's district, and guess what? He lost. He lost his reelection. So I'm just letting you know that sometimes you can actually see what you participated in, come back and get the folks that were involved in trying to get you, okay? Yes?
There's a daunting amount of appointed positions in the state of Maryland. Like, do you think Governor-elect Hogan will try to take care of the county level property tax assessment boards, try to change out some of the people? Because it looks like there's like, I think half of them are appointed by the government, and they've been in office forever. I mean, one of them, Walter, I think, is one of Rupert's cousins or something.
You know what you're making me, what your questions are making me think about is, right now they've appointed a transition team. It's going to be headed up by Jim Brady, who was the head of the transition team for Glendenning and Bob Ehrlich. So he's been working with a lot of people. And also Lieutenant Governor Boyd Rutherford. They're going to be the two chairs of the transition team. If you have any ideas, like what you just said right now, I would contact the transition. They're going to have a physical office, they're going to have a number, they're going to have all of that. And to me, now is the time when they're getting all those ducks in a row and everything you're talking about now to contact the transition team of Hogan Rutherford and get all that now in front of them so you can have an impact. Yes, sir.
I'm trying to come down just to one question, which is kind of...
That's all right.
I'm Carlton with the Baltimore County Voter Central Committee, and we did a great job in Dundalk and Essex. We wiped out some Democrats.
Yes, you did.
Johnny O, which was a great thing.
That was huge.
That was huge. They're going to Annapolis now. They're going to Annapolis on a conservative platform, but Annapolis is not conservative. Are they going to be able to work with Hogan and get things? Because what the Democrats are saying now, there are no Democrats down there, and we won't get anything anymore. And so they're putting a whole.
Here's what I'd like all of us to do, particularly those who, like you say, they're going down conservative, sending them down. You've got to allow the elected officials that you trusted, right, that you voted for, you've got to allow them at times to deal with politics. Now, I know, what does that mean, deal with politics? Well, if somebody in the Eastern Shore has a project they want, and you have a project in your district that you want, your delegate, your senator might have to make a deal with that gentleman on the Eastern Shore to vote for something that you might be opposed to. You might hate what that thing is on the Eastern Shore, but it doesn't affect you. What do you care? As long as that project that you care about, or the issue you care about, your legislator gets. And what we do at times is we say, that delegate had a vote to help the Eastern Shore XYZ project, and you want to lynch him for that vote, when all he was doing or she was doing was actually playing politics, was actually leveraging their vote to then get something for you in your district. So there are times when you do have to trust. Now, trust but verify. I'm not saying just blindly trust, but you got to trust your elected officials at times to get in those rooms and maneuver and make deals, because you need 71 votes in the House to get something passed. You need 24 votes in the Senate to get it passed. So no matter how conservative your legislator is or how, they've got to get other people to vote with them. They've got to get other people to support them. And that means at times making deals. Not deals that will be taking away their principle and their guidelines, but deals have to be made in order to get something passed. You can sit there and just be principled and vote no all the time, and you get nothing. It looks good on paper. It looks wonderful that you were principled. I didn't support thus and so. But then you look at what you were able to achieve, and what was it? Excuse me. So I'm saying, don't just trust what I'm saying in terms of when they vote, but find out why they did so stringent on them that they can't maneuver and do what they need to do in order to be effective on your behalf and do things you need to get done. Yes, Alex?
C4, I guess this is a redistricting question, but
Yes.
you look at the population of the state of Maryland, and this maybe ties in with the opening up the primaries to independents.
Yes.
Get more people involved in the process. But if you look at, say, the state of New Hampshire, less than 1 million people, over 400 representatives. You look at the state of Maryland, what do we have, like 7 million?
Okay.
Right? And we have 120 some
Really?
senators. No.
You do the math better than me.
So, but I'm just saying, like, as far as representing, like, and
But what level? See, my thing is when you talk about local level,
at the
state level,
at the state level. At the state level, you look at
they have 400.
480.
over 480 in a state.
How does that work? Is that a good process?
Well, bad legislation doesn't come out because there isn't that fly by night. You know,
I got what you're saying.
You know, and it's harder.
More people to bribe is what you're saying.
Right. Exactly. It's harder.
It is.
So, you think like that would be?
That's not a bad. I didn't think about it from that standpoint.
Yeah, you're more accountable to your community because you
have less people you represent.
Exactly.
The multi-member district system is designed to reduce the level of accountability because you've got, all you have to do is place number 3,
right,
and you get in.
Correct.
And your district is 3 times the size it normally is, so it's easier to manipulate and game it so that you can get just enough Democrats to get the top 2, and then the third mostly will coast with the other one.
We're talking about now a constitutional change. That's a Maryland constitutional change that's going to have to occur. But he's right, though. If you have a single-member district, you can hold that single individual much more accountable than you can with a multi-member type of district. Yes?
Nebraska, I think, has a unicameral, nonpartisan.
Wow.
So you actually can't have a political affiliation.
I don't know. See, I don't know how you would change other than constitutionally here, but I hear what you're saying about the necessity maybe to have more representation. But I know what we have now. There's a way to hold these folks accountable now for the process that we have now. So work on what you're saying, but hold them accountable while you're working on it at this point. Hold them accountable now.
And they have 2-year terms in New Hampshire.
Wow. Well, here's what, let me tell you one of the things that I would like to move towards and have you think about, and this is not going to be easy, but I really think it's important. I think that our legislature should meet every year. I think our legislature should meet every other year. Now, Wisconsin does this, some other states do this, Texas does this.
Indiana does it.
Who does?
Indiana does it.
Indiana. I think if we met every other year, you would see less, because legislators, every time they get to Annapolis, feel like they need to pass some new law. Feel like they need to pass something. You would see less intrusion into our lives if they met every other year. And to me, that's something I'm going to start talking about more on my show now, is that I really believe Maryland should start, we're a part-time legislature anyway, but they claim we are a part-time legislature. So we're part-time, why do we need to meet every year?
We get together too often, they get ideas.
Laws come into place. Yes, I'm sorry.
Hey, C4, Rick Saffrey, Baltimore
How you
City.
doing?
Dovetailing off of what you just said, we touched on accountability and what you want to do. Now that Governor-elect Hogan is telegraphing the sea change in the body politic, I know that's got to be changing your approach on your show in the back of your mind. So, what would that be? Do you have a
It's not changing a thing.
Not changing. Well, definitely not the principle. But what are you going to do now? You're going to double down. You're going to use your 50,000 watt microphone in a different way. What?
I think it's important, particularly that you who listen to me will trust me to not have a cut card, not have favorites. Do I like Larry? Absolutely, like Larry Hogan. But Larry Hogan's the governor now, of the state of Maryland. And I'm the vehicle I have to hold him just as accountable as I would Martin O'Malley. So to answer your question, I'm not changing anything.
Well, can the folks in here at Campaign for Liberty and those who support our cause get through your call screener through the back door?
Uh-oh. Now you're going to try to pit me against the professor. Now, you know full well I can't go against my producer. But what I can say to you is, if you're antagonistic to him, that's not a good way to get on here.
He said, always, like Tony said, always be friendly, always be friendly. I want to catch up with John and Alex on getting on your trip.
I'll put it to this one. Try calling again, and then email me, c4@wbal.com. Let me know what happened. See the number 4 at WBAL.com. Let me know kind of what happened. But the professor's pretty good most times. I've got to look at you. What did you do? What did you say?
Hey, these guys are pretty quick on the speed.
I understand.
It's hard to get through behind them, but they're top back.
I'm just saying. Let me see what you said or did. I really want to thank all of you, and I really want you to understand how important what you're doing is by being and coming out here and staying on a regular basis involved. And the evidence I hope that you will see is the fact that a Republican in the state of Maryland got elected last night in a time when nobody thought it could happen. And that hopefully gives you light. The Campaign for Liberty gives you some light. Thank you. God bless you.